What Radio, the music you want.
With your host, Keys Dan.
This town needs an enema.
RadioWhat.com.
What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with the RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live in a living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of my online radio station at RadioWhat.com. And for DJ services, please check out DJLittleRock.com. Coming up in the program today, folks, I'm excited. It's Bradley Amiel Julian, actor, all-around cool guy. That's pretty much all I know about him. I've seen him around town. He sings karaoke. He's played Harvey Pollock in the web series Gotham Nights. Check it out on YouTube. I'm going to find out some more. Let's find out some more about Bradley Amiel Julian. This week, my shows, karaoke and video dance party over at the Old Post Barbecue on Thursday nights. That's in Russellville, Arkansas. Have some good barbecue, bring the whole family, and sing some songs at the Old Post Barbecue Thursday night. And on Friday night, the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. Come check it out. They got pool tables, full bar, kitchen, and of course, karaoke with yours truly at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas, Friday nights. And then Saturday, the Big Shoe. It's Heroes and Angels Comic-Con. I'll be the after party DJ, but I'll probably wander around through the Comic-Con at the Heroes and Angels in Sherwood Forest. It's a good cause. It definitely is. It's a good time for a good cause. It's for kids that have cancer and their families, and all the proceeds, they go to help out those families. Once a kid has cancer, at least one of the parents has to take off work and take care of that kid full time. So yeah, it's a good cause. Heroes and Angels on Saturday, all day long at Sherwood Forest. Be there. Come visit with me. Without further ado, let's get Bradley Amiel Julian on the line. Calling now.
Hello.
Hello, is this Bradley Amiel Julian?
It is, Dan. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. You're on the What Makes You Famous podcast.
All right.
Now, this is what I know about you so far. I know that you're a cool guy around town. I know that you've played Harvey Pollock in a web series called Gotham Nights. I know that you're an announcer, and you're newly the announcer on the Good Stuff podcast. And I did hear you on the episode, the last episode of the Good Stuff podcast, and you were, well, dare I say the best part of it? No, I say you were a great part of the show. I'm really enjoying myself listening to the Good Stuff podcast. But
well, I thank you for that. And yes, they're all great, but I do my part.
Yes, that is, and you're displaying your good voice. That is what really strikes me about you. And you're funny. You're hilarious. But I don't know a lot more about you. And I want the listeners to know about you. I want to know where it all started. Where did Bradley Amiel Julian start? And where were you born?
I was born in a state of Missouri.
Sure.
On a hot July morning in 1971.
1971. 48 years old then.
Yes, I'll turn 48 in July.
Oh, see, I already made you too old.
That's okay. I'm used to it at this point.
I just myself in January turned 50. I can kick and stretch and kick. I'm 50.
That's more than I can do.
All right, then. We're off to a great start. Okay, yeah. So you were born in Missouri, the Show Me State. How's the family life?
Well, let's see. Started out, poor and abused, and eventually after about 8 years, we moved to Oklahoma, where I upgraded to middle class and abused. So I use that term lightly. It wasn't actually abuse. It was just, family life, single mom for a while, and then a stepfather, and then another stepfather who stayed around. It was great.
Same.
And he's still awesome.
Same.
Yeah. And, I spent my my summers and holidays back and forth between Oklahoma and Atlanta, where my father lived.
What year was this?
Started going to see my dad in 81.
Okay.
So, good year to be a Braves fan, 82. And my dad took me to plenty of Braves games growing up.
Baseball fan then?
Oh, yes, big time. Grew up loving the Braves, and then secretly rooted for the Oakland A's.
Uh-oh.
Because, I thought Raleigh Finger's mustache was cool. So
who didn't?
Yeah, exactly.
I wish I had a pencil-thin mustache.
It curls up on both ends. I've tried. I can't get it to work.
Oh. Well, I know you have a full beard, at least most of the time. Are you still sporting it now?
It's kind of halfway between the goatee and the full beard at this point. It's in a constant state of flux because I never know what my next role is going to require.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to shave down than grow it out, depending on filming dates and such. So my wife hates the beard, but, it's part of the job.
Well, you have to please the lady. Now,
yes.
Okay. Yeah, you've already given it away. You're an actor, but we'll get to that. We'll get to where you got trained as an actor. I want to go into the early points of life. Now, you're spending your time in Oklahoma and Atlanta.
Yeah.
And mom's in Oklahoma, dad's in Atlanta?
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. That's kind of quite a commute. So how often did you get to spend time over at dad's?
Usually it was for, a couple of months during summer vacation from high school and like every other Christmas.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I got to see dad from time to time in my early life. I'm there with you. So, all right. So we how's the school life? How's the friends, kids?
I was, I had a good small circle of friends in high school. I was what some would have called now a nerd or a geek, but there really wasn't a name for it in my high school. I just, I didn't play football, so that pretty much, disqualified me from being one of the cool kids. But I had a good group of friends in high school.
But okay, well, you got together with your group of friends. What did you do? What did you do to pass the time away? What were your hobbies?
Lots of Dungeons and Dragons.
Dungeons and Dragons. Okay.
Other assorted role playing games, such as Champions, BattleTech, Mech Warrior.
Mech Warrior is probably the only thing that I'm familiar with, where I played it on the PC, and that's where you dress up in a kind of a robot suit and go shoot bad guys.
Pretty much, yeah. Mech Warrior was the more role-playing aspect of the strategy game BattleTech, which in BattleTech you focused on the robots, whereas in Mech Warrior you focused on the little piece of meat inside. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, all these other games, I've never played them. I'm aware that there's a game called Dungeons and Dragons, and I was speaking to Brandy Bullock about this. And
no relation.
No, I know you. All right, you're giving hints away to the Bullock. But I was speaking to Brandy, and we touched on Dungeons and Dragons, and I've never played that game. Now, the best, I guess, the best taste I've had of it is watching Stranger Things, and I'm finally learning about this game that came out so long ago. Now, did you delve very deeply into Dungeons and Dragons?
I was into it. I wasn't. I wouldn't say I was like obsessed or anything. And but we played just about every weekend. It's set in a quasi fantasy, realistic. It all depends on the dungeon master, but basically set in generic medieval times, and you play different characters. Like if you've seen Lord of the Rings,
sure.
There's elves and dwarves and magic users and warriors, and my favorite character to play then was a bard.
What's a bard?
The bard is essentially an entertainer. He sings, he dances, he woos women with song, and he provides positive morale for the rest of the party. So
sounds appropriately you.
It was, and
and this is 7th and 8th grade, or where were we at?
Yeah, I started. I actually started playing at age 10 with some family members, stepbrothers, and then through high school. Yeah, and basically up until college, when my time was more dominated by studies, shall we say?
Now you did play this game, okay? Yeah. This game was a big part of your early life, of your formative years.
And I guess that's where it really got me into acting, because in the game you're playing a totally different person, and it doesn't have to be a reflection of you. You could be a female elf archer, and you play the role. It's sometimes you choose your character, sometimes the character's given to you. So
now there's a dungeon master. Were you ever one of those?
Not successfully. I tend to have a lot of sympathy for my players, which I guess isn't a bad thing.
Right.
But a lot of dungeon masters are more well known for their cruelty or their ability to challenge the players successfully and make their players fail miserably. So I guess I wasn't a very challenging dungeon master, let's put it that way.
Well, my impression is that the dungeon master is the director and maybe the writer of the play, of the campaign.
At least the director. Sometimes they write their own, but you can also get pre-bought adventures from the store. So
okay,
on how much work they want to put into it,
and they make things up as they go along. If they don't buy these pre-bought things,
well, yeah, they usually set it up beforehand. They'll draw their own maps and write their own. I don't know if you ever read these books in high school or middle school called Choose Your Own Adventure.
I'm familiar with them.
Yeah, it's where, if you want to, stab the dragon, go to page 12. If you want to run and hide, go to page 28. And it goes on from there. So it's basically that kind of setup where they have the maps. They ask the players, all right, there's a door on your left, there's a door on your right, and there's a stairway ahead of you. Where do you want to go? And they have all three of those scenarios already pre-written on what's going to be there when you choose. So, yeah.
That's making me think of the Black Mirror episode that just recently came out that had the kind of a choose your own. Is it? Yeah, it's very similar to that. I don't know why that popped into my head while you were chatting and explaining the choose your own adventure. All right. Any other hobbies in the middle school to high school area?
I was kind of tied into Dungeons and Dragons, but I was really into maps and flags.
Dig it. Same. Had maps on the walls, had flags on the walls.
Yeah.
Along with Samantha Fox posters. Full disclosure. Had to have.
I had Bananarama.
Oh, come on. Of course. I heard a rumor about that.
Right, yeah. And the Go-Go's, but my lips are sealed there.
Oh, well played. Well done. I see what you did there. All right, so maps and flags. Any good maps and flags? Are you still into that?
I am. I don't have any around the house right now. My decor is somewhat controlled by the spousal unit. So, but hey, I've got a cell phone, so I can store everything I want to look at there.
That is correct.
Map and flags wise, yes. So
as long as you get your corner of the house that you can do some podcasting in, I guess that's okay.
Yeah, I actually have the house to myself right now, so it's good.
What? All right, so we're in Oklahoma, and we're going through high school.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and graduated high school in Oklahoma?
Yes, graduated high school from Lexington High School, population 1,591, salute.
Hey,
and,
class of
1989.
89. All right, only three years behind me. I'm class of 86. Class of 86 rules.
89 is fine.
Well done. Okay, so 89, you get out of high school. You got Dungeons and Dragons in your back pocket. You got other role playing games going on. The flags and the maps are in your possession.
All in a box, ready to go to the dorm room.
Okay, where do we go from here?
Well, it was a tough decision. It finally made for me by my father when I presented him my options.
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, I would really like to go to New Mexico State. There's a cute little redhead who lives near there that I want to hang out with.
Yes, there is.
And he goes, well, that's awesome. How are you planning on paying for that? And I'm like, well, we had discussed earlier that, you were willing to fund my college education. He goes, yes, but
caveats.
It had to be in-state tuition.
Oh, but the redhead, Dad, the redhead.
Yeah, the redhead was quite a motivator, but money went out, and and it worked out well. So my choices were then limited to either the University of Oklahoma, or Georgia State University, because my dad lived in Atlanta.
Either way,
and so I could establish residency either place to be paying in-state tuition. So I wanted Georgia Tech, but their ACT requirements were higher than I was able to achieve. So it was Georgia State or Oklahoma. Being a mama's boy, I chose Oklahoma.
Oh, you mama's boy.
Yes. Only 18 miles or less from Lexington, depending on the time of day and the speed limit. So, well, I guess the miles would be the same. The time factor would be different. So I went to Oklahoma, and I chose to major in journalism, radio, TV, film journalism.
Okay, but you said you stayed in the dorms. You didn't stay at home, though.
Right. I wanted to get out of the house, but just not so far away as to not be able to see my parents or my mom on weekends.
Right. So you got the full college experience. You get in the dorm rooms.
To be done. Yeah. I stayed in the infamous Walker Tower at OU.
Okay.
And, through some error, I was actually placed on the academic honors floor, which I had no business being on.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
you're an honorable man.
Yes, but not academically.
Oh, well, one out of half of the equation's not bad.
Right. But I think, that helped me stay out of trouble because the games continued. I got into a game called Shadowrun.
Okay, explain.
It's basically another role-playing game like Dungeons and Dragons, but set in a dystopian future. Think cyberpunk, where basically everyone has a USB port in the back of their head, and you can plug in different programs. So you actually upload skills into your brain.
All right. Wikipedia says Shadowrun is a science fantasy tabletop role-playing game set in the near future fictional universe. And yes, cybernetics, magic, fantasy.
Yeah, that's it.
Cyberpunk. Okay. See, I was a William Gibson fan. I read a lot of those books. Well, it was a lot of Ice, and I guess Johnny Mnemonic was probably the biggest. William Gibson that came
very
on.
Similar. Very similar universe to Shadowrun. So that was my college hobby, I guess, playing Shadowrun. Also got involved in intramurals.
What's an intramural?
intramurals are basically competitive sports for students that aren't in intercollegiate sports. So you got your college football, you got your college basketball, but then you have your intramurals, which it's basically different dorms and clubs playing each other, fraternities, sororities, that sort of thing.
Oh, within the college?
Within the college, right.
Okay, and this is sports you're playing?
Yeah. I was on the floor basketball team and flag football, and intercollegiately, I actually did compete in fencing.
Hey!
I was an épée fencer.
Okay, now you're making me think of Sulu.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Oh,
yes.
my. Everyone's got a Sulu, especially here in Arkansas, with his little touch.
Well, he spent some unwanted time here in Arkansas.
Yes, he did. I've heard that story on many podcasts, and I don't get tired of hearing it either.
It's terrible. It was, anyone who looks like our enemy needs to be put in a cage. I won't get into politics, though.
Sure, you will. Sure, you will. We could talk about the wall being built down south. Come on. We'll skim right over that.
College. I got my degree in journalism, and I was not afraid of politics back then.
Yeah,
I was oh gosh, I sometimes look back at my politics in college and cringe a bit, because I started out as a Republican, college Republican. So it was gung ho, yay Reagan, yay Bush, all that, and
you were Michael J. Fox.
Pretty much taller, but much worse dressed than him. He was a much better dresser.
Republican. That's kind of an oxymoron, but I guess there were a bunch of them.
There were a few. But as I got along in my college experience and was, properly radicalized, I became a libertarian by the end of college.
See, now, a libertarian, I know, I guess the biggest fan is who with the Blaze. What's his name? Oh my gosh. The biggest proponent on TV. He was on Fox, and now he's got his own network, the Blaze. I'm gonna have to look.
You're talking about not Hannity, but
Beck, Glenn Beck.
Glenn Beck, yeah.
And you cannot be a full libertarian because that's anarchy, isn't it?
Essentially. And I haven't done a whole lot. I mean, I've been a libertarian since college, but there are a lot of different factions within it. But I recently discovered anarcho-Christianity.
And what's that? Tell me everything.
Basically, their creed is no king but Christ.
Okay.
And it's basically saying we go with what the Lord says, not with what the government says.
Okay. I'm familiar with Jehovah's Witnesses, and they do the same thing or very similar.
Yeah, there's some issues there, which I don't want to offend any listeners or members of that organization. But
no offense at all. I've studied with them quite a bit. And I learned quite a bit about their organization, and I have no problem talking about religion and your views or politics, but because I want to learn from you, and I'm sure the listeners want to learn as well. So continue.
Okay. Well, I was raised disciples of Christ, and then I went off the rails and joined the Chi Alpha also in college. I was active there, which is the collegiate branch of the Assemblies of God Church. So, okay. Talking in tongues and the like there.
I've done some weddings. I've been to some weddings where they have done some of that. I
learned so much from the leader there, and I made lots of great friends.
Okay.
I actually ended up meeting my first and second fiancés through that organization. So,
well, that's a double win.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously it didn't work out because they were fiancés and not wives. But
okay, maybe you were just doing a little prelude, being a little.
Yeah, things happen. The first fiancé decided I wasn't Pentecostal enough.
Okay.
And then the second fiance decided I wasn't Republican enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. You're just sampling. This is what girlfriends and fiancés are for.
Exactly. You test the waters. You see about compatibility, and you move on.
But you're not opposed to relationships and commitments.
No, not at all. I've been married it'll be 18 years in June.
Hey, Mazel Tov.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. May the honeymoon never end.
It never started.
Hey, what? All right, maybe we'll get into that. Okay, you're in college. You're in a frat. You're a frat boy, but it's a frat for Christ. So You're a good boy in college.
I'm in the Chi Alpha. I'm on the fencing team. I'm in the journalism classes. I'm working for the newspaper, and I'm taking every acting class I can take without my father getting upset because he did not want me majoring in drama.
Okay.
He said, if you want me to pay for this, you're going to do something worthwhile.
Save that drama for your mama.
Right, yeah.
Dad don't want to hear it.
He's like, no, you're not going to major in art. You're not going to major in acting. You're not going to do anything stupid. He's basically my dad's awesome. But he's also incredibly smart, nuclear engineer. He worked for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission for years. He's retired now.
Dig it.
But just big brain dad. And he also got me hooked onto Ayn Rand. So, I mean, can't be that bad.
What's Ayn Rand?
Ayn Rand. Sorry, I said the name wrong. Ayn Rand, Rand Paul, they all go together. Libertarian author. She wrote Atlas Shrugged.
Okay.
Fountainhead, some other great libertarian fiction. So, highly recommend the reading of it. There's also movies involved if you're not a reader. But, so he kind of got me on the libertarian kick as well.
Russian-American writer, philosopher, known for her best-selling novels, The Fountainhead, Atlas Shrugged. Okay, I get it.
Yep.
So, okay. So you got into that, and you're studying hard, and I could see how you could sneak in some acting classes into your journalism, because I went to Connecticut schools of broadcasting, and they had some acting involved in that. So I could see how you could sneak over to that next door class and grab a few notes over there. Especially the voice and diction classes, because that fell right into journalism, fell right into acting. And that's one thing I try to hide, my voice and diction. It was great up until, and this probably comes later in the show, but I sustained an injury at work. Ooh.
And it split my lip open.
Oh.
And okay. I still have it's big for a lip. Anyway, I had a scar on the inside of my lip, which highly affects my V's and F's. And so I had to be very careful with my diction when using those letters because of the scar.
Well, mind you, if you get a different way of talking, people can give impressions of you or make impressions of you, and that's a cool thing too. If you have an interesting manner of speaking, you don't want to be boring.
Fun of for my V's and F's, but so
all right.
That's why it's not very hard to overcome it.
So you laughed when I said we were studying hard.
Yes, that didn't happen.
Okay, all right. But you're going through college. You're there at OU. Oh, yes, you are. OUR. Or what other pun can I do?
OU nasty boys.
Yes. Okay, Janet. Thank you. Don't mess with my Janet.
Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, by the way.
Hey, wait a minute. How come she's a Rock and Roll Hall of Famer and there's other rock and rollers that are not in the Hall of Fame?
You'd have to ask them in Cleveland, but
Cleveland rocks.
So.
All right.
Several of my favorite acts made the Hall of Fame this year: Radiohead, Janet, and the Zombies. So I'm happy.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a time of the season for loving at OU. And
okay. What year is this? What year are we at?
Well, okay, I'd say my fencing
90, 91,
91, 92.
Okay.
My fencing came to an abrupt end in the summer of 91. I was playing volleyball. I was taking summer classes at the University of Central Oklahoma in Edmond, and I was playing volleyball, and I ran out of bounds to pick up the ball, and I stepped in a giant hole and snapped my left foot.
No.
Away from the ankle. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So that ended fencing. I was also recreationally involved in taekwondo. And
taekwondo.
Every time I tried.
Hana, dul, set, net, yasit, dasit, ilga, radu.
Yep. The row. All right.
Yeah. I'm a yellow belt in many, many disciplines.
I made it to blue.
Blue. Hey, it's a good color.
Yeah.
So that's it for taekwondo.
That was it for taekwondo. That was it for fencing. And so I discovered the art of competitive eating. I'm kidding, but
believe it.
It wasn't competitive, but I sure made it seem as like I was in a competition. Because at OU,
previous to that, you were in good shape, a young man.
I was in excellent shape up until the injury, and the cafeterias at the University of Oklahoma are gloriously all you can eat.
Oh,
yeah,
dangerous.
And I did. So yeah, I went from 215 to 290 my years in college.
Okay. Okay.
And,
this takes a toll on a body for sure.
Yeah,
I could see that this takes a toll on your psyche as well.
Yeah. Up to that point, I was being highly involved in the religious factions and everything. I hadn't socialized much.
Sure.
And by the time I was ready to socialize, there was less opportunity. Let's put it that way.
Okay, I get it. Now you got to rely on your personality.
Right, which luckily is considerable. And so finished college. I was on my second fiance by then. And
sounds like you're at a snack bar. I already had one fiance. I'm on to my second fiance.
Let's go to the second fiance.
She's delicious.
And no comment.
All right.
So I started work right out of college. I was doing various and sundry employees. I told everyone that I was the morning DJ at WENDYS.
Sure.
And
would you like a double?
Yes. Yeah. We can get a biggie size that for you. And I was also known as Flash Garden and Julian Caesar. I was a salad guy.
I've had numerous hairnets and name tags in my young life.
I made the salads. I didn't eat a whole lot of them. But
now this is after a college degree?
Yes.
In journalism.
In journalism, yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense that you're working at Wendy's.
Right. They needed somebody with a solid journalism background to make the chili.
So no internships at any newspapers or magazines?
That was the second job I got.
Okay.
Yeah. I was a intern at an actual radio station, WWLS and KNOR in Oklahoma City. WWS Sports Radio, the sports animal, they're still there. They're still going strong. I worked with former Major League baseball player Jim Traber, the famous Al Eschbach, and a man who I will miss dearly the rest of my life, Mr. Dan Lutz, was the producer there. He was born with cerebral palsy, but he overcame so much adversity. I remember him still telling the story about he was the baseball reporter for the University of North Dakota, and he would get to the game 2 hours early and crawl up the stairs to the press box.
Man, what's your excuse?
Yeah, exactly.
You hear me out there? What's your excuse?
He was a total inspiration to me.
Excellent.
He passed away some time ago, but man, he was my hero.
Yes, I can tell. I can hear it in your voice. He overcame adversity to become the announcer. Then
he was the producer and on-air talent at WWLS for a long time.
Well done. So so you're learning from him.
1995, I'm working at WWLS. Morning of April 19th, 1995. I had an appointment in downtown Oklahoma City to interview for an internship with the Oklahoma City Coyotes roller hockey team. I don't know if they ever actually started a season or not, but I had that appointment. I was excited. I was going to be an announcer for roller hockey.
I did that one time here in Conway.
Yeah. I overslept that morning because my alarm didn't go off. So I woke up like, oh, dang it. I called the office of the Coyotes and said, hey, I can't make it in this morning. I'll reschedule with you if you want. And they said, yeah, that's fine. Just let us know when you want to reschedule. And so I got dressed. I went to Hardee's and was eating some Hardee's breakfast. And I heard a loud rumbling sound outside. And I was like, what was that? And this is in Norman, mind you. We're 30 miles away from Oklahoma City.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. So I get in the car and I turn on my radio station.
I know where we're going here, but keep going.
Yeah, and see, hey, what was that noise? And they're saying, we think there was a gas main explosion downtown, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to work, and of course, that was the federal building, Burra building, that was blown up by Timothy McVeigh, and 168 souls lost, including my good friend Trudy, who was killed in that explosion. My aunt was injured by flying glass. She worked in the building next door, and that was a horrific day. I thought that day was never going to end.
No wonder you remember the number. I apologize for your friend, or I'm sorry for your friend.
Right. That day in radio, it's hard enough just being, a listener.
Sure.
When you're trying to figure out what's going on. But when you're the person trying to disseminate the information and so much crap comes into a radio station, it's unbelievable. You get prank calls, you get joke calls, you get misinformation, you get threats, you get... radio's tough.
Oh, yeah. I worked on terrestrial radio many years, 20 years.
Well, you do radio what? I mean, that's... And I imagine
even before that.
Yeah, you've got to filter through so much to get the listener just what they want. And it's that day I heard so much misinformation and garbage that it was really hard to work with. But we got through it. We found out what happened. It wasn't a gas main. It wasn't a missile from Russia or whatever else people called up and tried to say it was. So that kind of turned my life around as far as journalism was concerned.
Sure.
So I decided that instead of getting the business of entertaining people, I wanted to help people.
Well, by this time, were you on air in Oklahoma?
Yeah. Mostly on weekends. I was the weekend guy. No one else wanted to come in. So, hey, here you go.
That's where you start. People, if you want to get into radio, that's where you start. On the weekends, mostly. Or at night. I think I did a night show when I first started.
I produced the entire, as far as the local coverage, O.J. Simpson trial.
Hey, and just around the same time.
Yeah. The 94 national championship OU baseball team was their announcer, and as far as back in the studio, and I enjoyed that. But that's when I wanted to start helping people instead of just entertaining them. So I kind of put acting and journalism to the side.
Sure.
And I hired on with the Oklahoma Department of Corrections.
Oh, okay. Now I'm getting okay.
My mom and my stepdad both worked in corrections, and so I thought it would be a good, leg up as far as helping people goes. I was a correctional officer for a year and a half.
How's the leg anyway? After because this is fresh after the injury, about a year later, maybe.
The left foot healed fairly well. I was back on my feet, no problems, within a year, 6 months to a year.
Sure.
So I started with the Department of Corrections, and I would talk to the inmates. I'm like, hey, what happened? How did you get here?
Mm-hmm.
And I would hear story after story about, grew up poor, grew up abused, grew up in a bad neighborhood, did this, and we were on food stamps, we were on welfare, and not the saying that's how every criminal, or not that everyone on welfare is criminal, but a lot of criminals were on welfare. Let's put it that way.
I believe that to be true.
And there's also some very rich criminals out there, and they don't seem to get prison time.
I believe that to be true.
So I was in prison for a year and a half, then went on welfare. I like to tell that story.
Yeah.
I hired on with DHS, and I did that for 3.5 years. And the people, my clients were amazing.
Yes. Kind of hard to say no to a lot of them.
Yeah. Some were a blessing, some were a lesson, but it's one of those things where you meet so many different people, and they're all through different stages of their life trying to get along. And my mission there, my ministry there, was to help as many people as I could within the law,
sure,
and the rules and regulations. But internally, there was some struggle as far as coworkers were concerned. I don't know when helping people got to be a competition, but sometimes it seemed that way.
How do you mean?
It was like, oh, I see you're about to finish your caseload. Let me hide some of your cases so I can beat you and finish mine first.
No.
Yeah.
There's people's lives at stake here.
Oh, yeah. Who cares if this person hasn't eaten for a month?
Right.
Let's mess with Brad's caseload.
That's dirty pool.
Yeah, very. So I started looking into what I really wanted to do. And I had taught Sunday school and volunteered at a daycare for special needs kids.
Hey, that's nice.
So I thought, hey, I've been working here at DHS for a while. Let me see if there's something I can do.
This is about 2000, 2000 or 2001?
2000, I got on with a place in Oklahoma called the Youth Habilitation Center.
Okay.
Because they wouldn't call it a rehabilitation center because these kids hadn't been habilitated yet. So I liked the name. I thought it was great. I was there for about a year until I got married to my lovely wife, and she got a job offer from Parkview High School here in Little Rock.
Hey, happy days.
Yeah. So we came out in April of 2001, and she interviewed for the job at Parkview. I interviewed for the job at Youth Home, and we both got the jobs, and we both got married, and we moved to Little Rock.
Congrats. So the Youth Home that's another rehabilitation or habilitation?
Well, Youth Home Incorporated has been in Little Rock for over 50 years now. And they change lives, they save families, they provide intensive residential treatment for teenagers, and young adults, ages basically 11 to 17, boys and girls. And the kids, some of them live on campus in the houses. That's what I do. I work in the houses. And we basically help with life skills, behavior management, trauma-informed care, which is the latest craze in therapy. It's amazing. It's a really well thought-out program.
I'm looking here. Youth Home Inc., founded in 1966. Youth Home Inc., located in Little Rock, Arkansas. Nonprofit mental health provider.
That's us. So I've been doing that ever since. I've been there. It'll be 18 years in
18
August.
years. The man's got staying power. He's with the wife. He's got a good family home, got a good bubble, got a good job.
Right.
You're solid. You're a good, hardworking citizen of the community.
So back in about the same time I met you, I made met some other friends. Well, Jason Paul.
Okay.
And Herminator, as we know him.
Yes.
I made friends with him. I made friends with a gentleman by the name of C.K. Holmes.
Yes, Jason Paul, good singer. He comes around to karaoke from time to time.
I met him at karaoke, in fact.
Oh, okay.
I met him and Ryan Mullins at the same day.
And Ryan Mullins, another karaoke jock.
Yes.
And C.K. Helms of the Good Stuff podcast.
Right.
Shout out.
I met C.K. Helms of the Good Stuff podcast. He had put out an audition notice or a casting call on Facebook looking for actors for a Batman web series.
Yes.
And I saw it. I'm like, And I messaged him. I said, is this animated or live action?
Right.
And he says, live action. I'm like, well, Fat Man is out of Batman. So I was like, all right, well, thanks for letting me know. And he goes, but I need a Harvey Bullock.
Well, speaking of Fat Man and Batman, did you notice that the Fat Man on Batman, they changed their name to Fat Man Beyond?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, to avoid any copyright laws.
Right.
Trying to keep ahead of the game. All right. So I tangent, and then you're back in a web series.
Yes. And basically, he said, I need a Harvey Bullock, and I said, I am Harvey Bullock.
Yeah.
And I filmed my audition. I was wearing a shirt and a tie and a fedora and my underwear, and I filmed from the waist up, of course. So
okay, I mean, either way, if you were done the waist down, that still could have been Harvey.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, just after a bender.
It's lunchtime. Okay,
so
I sent in my audition. They loved it. I got the part, and the long, arduous journey of Gotham Knights began, because that was in 2013.
2013. I was going to ask you, what year was that?
Yeah, that was 2013. Some writers changed, roles changed, funding was an issue. And availability. People were moving out of state. People were moving or involved in other roles. And so, but we, everything came together, and we got 3 or 4 shorts done. Enter the Red Hood, Trash, Joker's Favor, which was before Trash. So Enter the Red Hood, Joker's Favor, Trash, and then there was a 4th one, which I forget the title of.
Was that Fighters?
But, no, that was the main event. There was another one with Ryan and Ashley, where she was Vicky Vale. Something to do with Vicky Vale.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say Vicky Vale another time, Prince is going to pop into my head. Oh, he did.
I love that song.
For sure.
Yes. So then we filmed the main event, which was All This Left and Fighters. And their parts 3 and 4 are in production. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
So,
okay. So explain a little bit. What is Gotham Knights? It's
a YouTube web series, and it was based all on the concept of how would Gotham fare if the Batman were missing. He hasn't been seen for quite some time, and criminals are getting bolder and more prolific in their activities. And so those of us, it ended up being a lot like Gotham, the TV series,
sure.
But Gotham Knights was written and cast well before the Gotham series.
Yeah. So you're the original Harvey Pollock.
I was. Well, I always considered Robert Candelaria to be the original, but as far as live action goes, I did beat Donald out as far as casting. But
sorry, Donnie Logu. Logu.
Donnie Logu isn't the same.
Logan. Yeah. Hey, I liked him in Blade, so yeah, I got no problem with him.
There was a movie I really enjoyed with him and the Hulk. It was Mark Ruffalo and Donald were in a movie together. It was also really good.
Hit me. What is it?
I forgot.
Oh, my goodness. Nah, I got to find that. I like both of those actors.
Harvey Pollock in the Hulk. I love it.
Okay. I'll look it up. So, yeah, Batman Gotham Knights was also a comic book series in 2000.
Right.
Yeah, so it has nothing to do with that.
No, it's a new take on the characters. Myself.
Who wrote this?
C.K. Helms wrote that.
C.K. Helms.
Yes.
Legendary. Okay. So he wrote it entirely by himself?
He had some help. He had other writers involved. There was some creative differences at one point, and scripts were rewritten and thrown away and rejected.
But it came from his mind. It's his brainchild.
Yes. He and some other friends eventually initially came up with it.
And that reignited your acting career.
It did. I hadn't been interested in acting. And what actually got me back into it was, and I have to give a shout out to Kim Peace.
Okay.
And FIA Acting Worldwide in Fayetteville. They were in town in North Little Rock. And I think this was 2012. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe 2013 as well. But they were doing an open casting call for Greater, the Brian Burlsworth story.
Wow, I'm not familiar.
And it was an excellent movie filmed here in Little Rock.
Okay.
And I may have said the first name. Burlsworth, the Burlsworth Award. It's a big Razorback. He passed away, but he was a very inspirational player and person. So they were filming, they were open casting call for this movie. And I was just in the mall shopping. I had no idea that was going on. I said, hey, honey, I'm going to see what this is. Mm-hmm. And so I just got in line and I started talking to people in line. And they're like, oh, yeah, this check out Real Arkansas or Arkansas Actors Co-op or, all the acting pages on Facebook. I had my phone out and I was plugging them all in. I was joining the pages. And I interviewed. I got 2 callbacks to be an ESPN announcer in the movie. Okay. Right. I didn't get the part eventually, but I was very encouraged because they said, basically, we loved your auditions. That's why I got 2 callbacks. They said, but so we're not trying to be mean or anything, but you didn't have the look we wanted.
Well,
I was like, oh, yeah, because there are no fat guys in journalism.
As far as I've known in the acting world, you hardly even get that call. So right. You got a step above for someone not to get the part. Usually, you just don't hear anything. Right. So, and I've found that to be true way more often than not. Unfortunately, it's like, oh, I'm interested in this part. They're like, that's it. That's all you hear. Nothing. So 2013, you got this great day job, and are you going on auditions? I started with that one, and I was so encouraged by it. That's what led me to try for the Batman series. I got that part. A friend of mine wanted me to come out, and this was in 2016. Okay. She said, maybe it was 2015, somewhere in there. Sure. She said, hey, we need extras for this movie. And I said, I'm interested. I'll be there. And I said, meet at the Joint, which is an improv coffee shop in North Little Rock, Argenta. And basically, you're going to be a member of the audience, and you're going to be looking like you're bored as heck, and you're not amused. Okay. Like, well, that'll be easy. I can do that. I'll practice in the mirror tonight. Right. And so the morning of the shoot, the director calls me
And he said, "Hey, Brad, I have a favor."
Who's the director?
The director was Reed Means of Palm Tree Shoe Productions.
Reed Clark Means.
Guy. Voiceover guy, director, video editor, you name it. He's amazing. Yeah, you should have Reed on the show, definitely.
He's an LA guy, yeah.
Yeah, he was a child actor as well. He was in the movie Bushwhacked.
Bushwhacked. He's a kid.
Yep.
I got him. IMDb. He's on.
Yep.
6 foot tall.
Yes. Amazing fellow, also libertarian. And so
anarchy. Okay.
he
still haven't gotten a hold of what a libertarian is, but go ahead. Continue.
Okay. So basically, it's the right to swing your fist ends at other people's noses. Or as, basically you're free to do what you want as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else.
Bully.
No crime, that sort of thing.
Digress.
So, he calls me and he said, "I have a problem." And he said, I saw your Facebook page, and one of my main actors called me this morning and said he had a hangover and couldn't make the shoot.
Okay.
I was like, "Wow, that sucks." He goes, "So, I need you to just fill in for him." And I was like,
"Do we have sides? Do we have lines here?"
He sent me the sides as a document on my phone. I asked him what he wanted me to wear. He said basically, shirt and tie, whatever. I went to my closet. I pulled out my Harvey Pollock stuff minus the jacket.
Sure.
And I set it on the bed, took a picture. He goes, "How's this?" He goes, "Perfect. Wear that." And I showed up, and I'd memorized the lines, and we shot the scene. And that was my first movie role.
Yay.
I thought I was just going to be sitting in the crowd, instead I was telling the jokes that everyone ignored. So.
Oh, okay. Now I'm getting, you were the guy. You were was it a stand-up comedian, I guess?
We were sitting down, but yeah, there was two of us, me and Harold Atkins, were playing Muck and Gum. And the movie is Wrenchocracy. It's a political satire. And we were telling the jokes. And we had to do several takes, unfortunately, because I started ad-libbing during the take, and the audience that was supposed to be looking bored and uninterested kept laughing.
Oh. Well, okay. And this is an independent film?
Yes.
I don't think they want a lot of ad-libbing, because that costs money, doesn't it?
Well, it was at a point where it was appropriate. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
It depends on what Reed Means says.
Right. We had filmed the main part as was, and gotten everything we needed. And then he said, "I wanted to get some other takes." So he said, we were told to ad lib.
Okay. Good deal.
Yeah. And so with the ad libbing, it was like the crowd. There's supposed to be one guy in the audience that was laughing, and
I'm visualizing Cape Fear. Ha ha ha.
Right. Yeah. Pretty much like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my first movie role. Then we did the Gotham Knights, and then I started auditioning for other things. I'm really hoping this project gets off the ground. There's been a lot of issues, but one of my favorite movie serials from back in the day it was called Rocky Jones Space Ranger. This is pre-Star Trek. This is back in the early Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon days. Not the 80s versions, but the 50s versions. And but Rocky Jones, I loved it. It's so cheesy. A version of it has been on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Okay, 1954, February 23rd, 1954. Yeah. I'm looking. Oh, it looks Rocky pretty Jones. Cool.
So,
and it's your standard 50s space in a capsule. Nobody worries about gravity because I don't know, gravity's still there.
In fact,
ray guns.
They had rolling office chairs with seatbelts. Yeah.
Okay.
How's that going to work?
Yeah, how is that going to work? That's okay. It's the 50s. We don't care. Right. We haven't been to space yet.
Right. That project is still in development, and
I'm so excited for you.
Yeah. Also, now I'm being what? I'm being
groomed. Tapped?
Groomed? Yeah, I've gotten a role in a upcoming feature film called Closer.
Okay.
K. Nicole Productions and Pixley Entertainment are working on that. And there are no small parts, in my opinion.
No.
There's only small actors. Being that I'm a large actor, I'm thrilled. I thought I had auditioned for that movie.
Okay.
And it turns out I never hit send on the email.
Oh, my.
It's the most important part.
Yeah.
Are you the AOL guy just now?
Well, you're talking about there's no small parts. Will Ferrell, I heard him on a previous podcast, and he was saying that he'll be when he was on SNL, he would be the guy delivering pizza, or he would be the guy just saying something off to the side.
Right.
Anytime you get any screen time, or at least even off camera voice time, he would do it. So yes, I follow that. Do it.
Yeah. So I when she said, we wrote a part for you, it's not much, but I said, I'll take it. I love it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, please. I'm hungry.
Well, there's, my night job pays for the food. Well, actually, my wife buys all that. But anyway,
I mean hungry in the aspect that you're a young up and coming actor.
I am up and coming.
Okay, all right.
Debatable, as we but I'm really, why not now? It's better late than never. And there are a lot of roles available for people our age,
for sure,
because there are fewer people seeking those parts.
For sure.
So I got that role. I haven't heard back on a few roles, but there's some I'm really hoping to get. There's a voiceover role that I recently applied for, up against some very stiff competition here in the Little Rock acting scene, as far as the voice of a character in a movie I can't talk about.
No,
but,
not even.
Right. But I'm so excited now. I've got the IMDb page, which is imdb.me/Bradley Julian.
Yes, it is. And there you are in your cowboy hat, staring right back at me.
Actually, not my cowboy hat.
In a stolen cowboy hat, staring right back at me.
Borrowed cowboy hat.
I'm trying to make you into a like a tough guy, so you get these roles.
Right. Yeah, we stopped at a gas station in Texas, and I took the picture with the hat off the shelf and then put it back on the shelf because it was $30 and I couldn't afford it at the time.
You better go buy that hat, sir.
One day, it will be mine. Yes. Oh. It will be mine.
I don't know if you could play Stairway on it.
Stairway?
Denied.
So, we're not worthy. And going back to
I did a whole podcast just a few episodes back where I went over movie lines, and I swore I was not going to look up the movies that these lines came from or what years. I just had the list of movie quotes,
right?
And I was thinking maybe I'll do a podcast of how they make me feel, and I think it worked out pretty well, at least for me. I enjoyed every minute of it. So, yes, we're not worthy.
Oh, one of my favorite quotes is from Casablanca. This is, oh gosh, you know what? I forgot. Let's move on.
No, all right. No. Casablanca had a lot of movie quotes.
It's one where basically Ugarte says, you despise me, don't you, Rick? He goes, I suppose I would if I gave you any thought. And then he goes on to explain what he does. And Rick Blaine goes, I don't mind a parasite. I object to a cut rate one. That was,
all right.
I get the visas for half. Is that so parasitic? And then he goes, yeah, I don't mind a parasite. I object to a cut rate one. I've always,
it's been so long since I've seen Casablanca, but in that list of 100 quotes, definitely "Here's Looking at You, Kid" was on there, and play it. Oh.
He never says play it again.
No,
Sam.
he doesn't. No, he doesn't. But he says play that song or play it, Sam. Play as time goes by.
What's that you're playing? And he goes, "Some of my own." Well, stop it. You know what I want to hear.
And round up the usual suspects.
She can stand it. I can. Round up the usual suspects is there. That's right after Rick shoots the Nazi in the head, and
we'll always have Paris.
We'll always have Paris. Always there. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie, man. I hope they never remake it, but if they do, I want to be in it.
Okay, all right. Give me a small part. Exactly. All right. So movies that affected you, movies that inspired you to be an actor, or types of movies that you want to be in. I notice. Isn't that your IMDb where you say you have not your IMDb, your Instagram, where actors that I'd like to
actors I want to co-star with.
I want to co-star with. That is a great follow and a great idea. I know I'm not sure if any of the actors mind being tagged like that, but I'm sure they don't.
I haven't gotten any direct objections yet.
And any responses?
Yeah. The last Irish Viking was one of the ones I tagged, and he responded, "I'd love to collaborate."
What?
Yes.
Yes, they had to send little tingles.
Yep. Kathleen Gotti, who I absolutely adore.
Okay.
She's kind of my woman crush Wednesday all week.
Shout out to Kathleen Gotti.
Kathleen Gotti. She is best known for her role as Dr. Liesel Obrecht on General Hospital.
Okay.
And we actually met on Twitter. Twitter. I made a little Twitter sound when I said Twitter.
Yes. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Twitter.
Yes. We met on the Twitter under unfortunate circumstances. It was after the passing of Anthony Bourdain.
Oh. Yeah.
And Gordon Ramsay had tweeted about Bourdain, and I had responded or subtweeted, what do they call it there? That it doesn't matter how much money you have, what you do for a living. Depression affects everyone.
Yeah.
And money can't fix it. Travel can't fix it. Nothing. I mean, it's such an epidemic. And so when he passed away, when he died by suicide, and Gordon Ramsay was devastated, of course. And I had responded to him. It doesn't matter. You can have all the money in the world. You can have all the friends and family and everything. But if depression is affecting you, you've got to get help.
Yeah. Talk to somebody. Talk to somebody now. If you're feeling it, talk to somebody.
So Kathleen, after she responded to my subtweet, and you're so right, and she followed me on Twitter.
Hey, that's a weird.
I just had it's always it's amazing feeling when someone they're unreachable, they're unapproachable, but then they follow you on social media. Ben Vereen was the first big star that followed me on Twitter, and I was like, wow.
It's nice. It's nice. It's someone that you appreciate, and you're getting some kind of a connection with them.
So Kathleen and I talked back and forth, and kind of the story behind that picture on my IMDb is that we were on our way to Dallas for a General Hospital Fan Fest. It's like a comic book convention for soap opera fans.
Tell me she's involved.
She was there.
I know she's a General Hospital. Yeah, she's in General Hospital for sure.
General Hospital, yeah. And if you look at the other photos on my IMDb page, I have photos with her and some of the other stars. But we sat and talked. Hey, it was maybe 5 minutes, but it felt like the whole day to me. because she's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And in a room full of 100 and some odd people, she made me feel like I was the only one there.
Look at you, number 4 of 9, hanging out with Kathleen Gotti.
Yeah. And then after we talked, because she had to, keep taking pictures and talking with other fans in the room, I sat and talked with her husband for another 15, 20 minutes, and he's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He's a behind the scenes guy. He's, does other stuff, but he's not involved in the show that I know of. But it was just an amazing event when you get to meet your heroes up close in person, and they turn out to be just as wonderful as you thought they would be. And that's what's great about the con scene here and around I've been going to cons since I was 14. Atlanta Fantasy Fair, now called Dragon Con, SoonerCon, and then Little Rock Comic Con. Heroes and Angels Comic Con is coming up this weekend.
Oh, wait. Is that this weekend?
Yes. It's this Saturday.
Oh, am I DJing that?
I don't know.
I think I am. Yes, I'm doing the after party. Very excited to be there.
Hopefully.
Are you going to be there?
I'm going to try.
Oh, dude, there is no try.
There is no try.
I knew the impression would come. What, that was Ronald Reagan?
That was Grover.
Good.
Sesame Street. Yeah.
Good job. Good job. Yeah. Or Raymond. Either one. Ray Romano? No.
Everybody loves Raymond.
No, that's his brother.
I know. But that's the only one I can do.
Oh, but you just did Ray Romano.
Ray Romano. I end up sounding like Jerry Seinfeld.
No, you just do a Grover impression or a Kermit the Frog impression.
Kermit the Frog here.
Yes, that's Ray Romano right there. You did.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sorry, Ray.
You can go into Rainbow Connection if you like. But,
All right. Having fun so far. Man, I'm learning so much about you. This is so good. All right. So you're still beating the streets looking for acting jobs while doing
absolutely.
your youth group.
If anyone needs, you talk about roles I want.
Yes.
And someone asked me that question once. What's your dream role?
Yes.
Someone say, "Oh, well, I want to play this or that, Winston Churchill, or I don't know." But and this is a cliche that always has bothered me. And the closest I ever saw to someone getting it right was in the movie John Q.
Okay.
With Denzel Washington.
Denzel.
And Denzel. Well, actually, 2 Denzel movies. The Equalizer was also very close.
Okay.
They said the role you'd love to play, and my answer was I would like to play an overweight security guard who's good at his job and saves the day.
Okay, so not Paul Blart, or maybe
right? No, not Paul Blart. No, sort of, but not really.
He does save the day.
Yeah, but but not a comedy.
Okay.
I want someone of size to be represented.
John Candy, Armed and Dangerous.
Okay, that sounds good.
With Eugene Levy, come on, that's classic.
Right.
They were both security guards.
Right, but I'm talking in a dramatic role.
All right, I keep going over the comedies.
Right, yeah, a dramatic role, a person of size represented in a dramatic role where they're not incompetent, they're not a buffoon, they're not comic relief.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with comedy. I love comedy.
Sure.
And I love being funny, but I would love to be in a dramatic role where, as a person of size, who is represented as being competent, compassionate, and good at what they do.
Well, security guard makes sense. I know I was a bigger guy when I was a security guard.
Right.
Even
if it's more of a. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to be a Chuck Norris or a Dwayne Johnson or anything like that. But
you could be a Steven Seagal in his later years.
Right.
Can't get his leg up that high, really.
But I would love to and I guess in a way, Harvey Bullock was a great role. That's why I loved it.
Yes.
He's a person of size, but he's also, pretty badass, if I can say that.
Yeah. And he's got layers. He's not just a one-dimensional character.
Like an onion.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Or a cake.
Well, I mean, did you explore his personality when you were doing the role?
Absolutely. Of course, Batman the Animated Series was a great study for him. And then I bought all the comics I could find with him in it. And I really developed the character. And then Gotham came out, and I'm like, looks like Donald did all the same studying I did.
Yeah.
He's amazing. I still think I'm better in the role.
Oh,
but
okay. The gauntlet dropped. Shots fired.
But he obviously had more time to develop it, and
did he now?
Lots more exposure. So exposure, direction, all that. And he went to Oxford, I think. So
you think he's better than you now?
I as an actor, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, he's humble. He's humble, ladies and gentlemen. He's humble.
Donald's amazing. I sent him the clip. I sent him the Gotham Knights trash, and I told him, that I was playing the role, and that I was really proud of him, and looked up to him, and all that. But he never responded. But as the seasons of Gotham went on, I started to see some similarities.
Okay. So you think Donald Logue stole your mojo?
No, I think that he learned from another fine actor and used it.
Gleaned from it.
Right. There's no stealing. It's all tribute.
Just keep that in your head. That'll inspire you a little bit, Mr. Bradley Julian. Now, do you like to be called Bradley Amiel Julian or just Bradley Julian?
The middle name is pronounced in the family as Amiel.
Oh, okay. That's a little more biblical, I believe.
Yeah, yes, that's where it came from. It's a family name. My father has it. My grandfather had it, and there were Amiels back.
Tradition.
Yeah. So I wasn't given a middle name at birth, but
neither was I. Same.
Right. So they said, "Well, we want you to choose it when you get older." And for the longest time, I wanted to be Neil Armstrong. So
okay,
Neil,
okay. Better than Stretch Armstrong, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Well, he didn't hold up in the ring. My brother's abusive power.
Well, you told me at the beginning you were poor and abused.
Yes. Stretch Armstrong did not survive.
All right.
Being tied to a doorknob and stretched across the living room into the kitchen. He became goo on the floor.
Oh,
so, yeah.
I think that probably happened to my Stretch.
Yeah. But when I started getting into acting, I said, you know what? I need not to mention the fact there are other Bradley Julians around.
Right.
I'm friends with one of them on Facebook.
Okay.
There were two I knew of in Oklahoma because I would occasionally get mail for one of them, and I actually got an arrest warrant for the other.
I had one of those when I was living in the Florida Keys. I had another Daniel with similar name as mine.
Right. So that was fun. I said, "No, I'm not the droid you're looking for. You need."
Did the Jedi mind trick work this time?
Right. Yeah.
I'm noticing you're waving your hands around.
I did.
Yes. Yes. You're exploring the room, and I'm not even there. That's a true actor right there. So I would say use the Amiel. In fact, you should probably change it on your IMDb, and that will set you apart from the rest of the world.
Yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah,
IMDb is tricky. I still haven't figured out where to enter the bio section yet. I'm gonna have to get with somebody and have them point that out to me because I can't find that button the mobile page. So,
well, anyway. I'm so excited that you're on IMDb. I'm talking to a real, actual actor. Do you have any advice for the kids trying to get into acting? Now, you didn't really go much over the school. Do you think the school helped you out at all?
I think so. I think just having a set schedule. Words of wisdom given to me recently at the Arkansas Actors Co-op was the audition is the job. Acting is the bonus, but when you're trying to be a working actor, the auditions are your job. That's, so grind at it, apply for auditions, send videotaped auditions, send, audio auditions, go in person. It's not a high percentage game. It's kind of like baseball. If you were successful 3 out of 10 times, you're amazing. 4 out of 10, you're Hall of Famer. That's just like it is in acting. Only it's probably even a lower expectation. 4 out of 100, you're amazing. And that's the kind of effort you'd put into it. It has just been a recent thing for me. Like I said, 2013 is when I said, hey, I'd kind of like to do that.
Yeah.
And I've been really casual about it. So my not so meteoric rise to fame and no fortune has been slow. But it's at a pace I'm comfortable with. And like I said, I have a good job. So
and you have a good family life.
Yes.
You have a wife that's supportive of this.
Yeah, and she's an artist as well. She's a music teacher, and she's currently actually in a rehearsal for the Little Rock Winds.
Come on,
they have a concert this week, and she's an expert clarinetist, and she also holds a master's degree in teaching English to speakers of other languages. So she's multi-talented, multilingual, and
you landed a goodie.
Yeah, I lucked out.
Yeah. No, you made me think when you were talking about auditions that actually applies to any job. Really, the interview process is what gets you in the door.
When you don't have a job, looking for a job is your job.
Yeah.
In any field. What makes me famous? That's the name of the podcast. And when I thought about that, I thought that question might come up.
Yeah.
And what makes me famous is anyone who likes what I do.
Yeah.
I do it for fun. If I never grace another TV screen or movie screen or phone screen ever again, which I imagine I will, because you can do that stuff yourself if you want. But
yeah, you can.
If I never appear in anything, I had fun. That's why I do karaoke.
Yeah.
I get up.
I expect you to do some this weekend, sir.
Okay. If you're having it, I'm doing it.
You better show up. I'll have my screens up. No, and the other thing you were talking about is the entertainment business. I've always thought, being a working DJ, the money's good, but the work's not steady. So it's nice that you have a day job that's kind of giving you a steady flow and taking that pressure off of you.
Yeah. So when I entertain, I'm there for myself.
Yes.
And that's not to sound selfish, but my job is stressful. We talked about the injury earlier to my face.
Yes.
That happened when 2 patients were fighting, and I stepped in to stop it, and I took a very hard elbow to the face.
Oh, yeah.
I was knocked unconscious, and I bled profusely, and my job is stressful sometimes.
I believe you.
It's the nature of the job. It's not. I love the job, but it can be highly stressful and dangerous. So when I go to karaoke, I'm there just to relieve the stress, have fun, show out. And so I'll do Weird Al. I'll do songs I don't know. I'll do I do it for fun, and if someone else loves it, that's even better. And I've been so blessed over the years to just have people come up and goes, "We came to see you."
Yeah. You got fans.
About you. Yeah, we heard about you doing your karaoke here. We came to see you. I had some guys back when I was singing up in Jacksonville every Saturday. People from the Union Pacific. They said every time we stop at Little Rock, we plan to come here because you're singing here.
Totally
and
cool.
It was just weird for me. I'm like, and when I feel like I listen to other people and I think they're all better than I am, but people come up to me and like, can you sing this? Can you sing that? A few weeks ago, lady came over and said, could you please sing Red Riding Hood?
Yeah, hey there, little Red Riding
Hood. The Pharaohs. And I said, well, okay, sure, that's a really odd request. But I've heard it, so I gave it a shot, and I creeped it up. And I was told afterwards that it was her granddaughter who wanted to hear it because her father had just passed away, and that was their favorite song to sing together.
Oh, how sweet.
And I was like, I'm so glad you didn't tell me that beforehand because I never would have went through.
No pressure.
Yeah. So it just, if I could display love and compassion and have acting and like entertainment be my ministry, that's what I'm in it for. And so if that makes me famous, great. If it doesn't, great. If it makes me famous in one person's eyes, that's what I care about. And that's why I do my day job too, because I work with kids who've been through a lot. They've been through abuse, neglect, abandonment, drugs, just unspeakable horrors and here they are at 11 and 12, and they've seen more in their lifetime than it's more terrible things in their lifetime than most people will ever see. And just be able to give them an ear and a shoulder and guidance and direction. That's my mission. And entertainment is my passion, but I'll always do both.
Well, it sounds like you have a good heart. At the Youth Home Inc., you're taking care of some kids over there and making sure that they have the best life that they can possibly have. And then you got to have yourself a life as well. And I'm glad you've had the entertainment business. And Gotham Nights, if you haven't checked it out, it's on YouTube as we're rounding this out. Any last words to say to the peoples?
I think and it may be cliche at this point, Dan, but I think I have to end in the immortal words of the greatest band that ever lived, Wild Stallions. Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes.
I can dig it. Bradley, Amiel. Say your the middle name again?
Amiel, yeah.
Amiel. Bradley Amiel Julian. So happy to have spoken to you tonight. Thank you so much for
me, Dan. I really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll have you on Good Stuff sometime.
Hey, that would be so good. A complete pleasure on this side of the microphone for sure. Learning a little bit more about you. And how do they find you on the social media?
Facebook, it's Bradley Amiel Julian. On Twitter, it's at Bradley Amiel. On Instagram, at Bradley Amiel. Just so people know, yes, there are some topless photos of me on Instagram. Ooh. In case you're interested or want to avoid that.
NSFW.
No, it's safe for work.
Well, thank you so much, Mr.
From the shoulder up, so it's okay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bradley Amiel Julian. I'll definitely put your links in the show notes, and ever forward. Hopefully everything goes well. In my
Facebook fan page, I almost forgot. That's facebook.com/Bradley Julian actor.
Dig it.
Yes.
Dig it. Thank you, Bradley Julian, actor.
Thank you, Dan.
Podcaster.
American icon. He's Dan.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you so much. We'll chat a little bit later.
All right. Have a great day.
Party people, that was so good. Bradley Amiel Julian. Look him up on the Facebook, on the IMDb page, on the Twitter. Follow him on Instagram. The Instagram thing was pretty cool, where he puts it out there. Hey, he puts his heart out there on Instagram. The man wants to take this acting seriously, and he already has. He's played Harvey Pollock, and to the T. He was inspired by the cartoon, and then later, of course, by Donald Logue, but he definitely did the part before him. So, yes, look up Bradley Amiel Julian and follow him. Be a stalker. Do it. And he says he has fans at karaoke. He's going to have fans all over the world just stalking him, looking him up in his entertainment. That's it for What Makes You Famous this week. If you'd like to be a part of the program and tell your story, give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. Tell your story. Everyone has a story. This is Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.
Radio What? The music you want. Hey guys, this is Shelly G with a fast fact. Julius Caesar was the first to encode communications using what has become known as the Caesar cipher. Do you have a fast fact? Share it with us at Interactive Radio, RadioWhat.com.
Be on Radio What. Call 501-470-6386. Say your name, where you're from, and you're listening to What? The music you want is on RadioWhat.com.